Hi everyone, it's Mrs. Smith. We are working with Google Sheets today. I'm here doing this little kind of a trial thing. I'm making this video to help you input data into Google Sheets so that when I come in and work with you, we have some numbers to already play with. Google Sheets is one of my favorites of the Google apps. There's so much you can do with it, but it is a little tricky at first. So I'm making this video. I'm hoping that your teacher will show it to you. And as maybe you're doing it as a class, you can pause it as you need to figure out where the formatting tools are that I'm talking about, or to go about inputting the data yourself. We are calling this Sheets Madness because it's almost March Madness and I love college basketball. So the data we're going to be playing with is going to be related to UConn basketball statistics. So without further ado, I'm going to make this little video of myself. Go away. Wanted to say hi, so that you know it was really me that's talking to you. So the first thing I'm going to ask, your screen is not going to look like this, first of all. Mr. Moffat, I'm hoping will direct you as to how to best open your Google Sheets from your devices. You might just go into your Google Drive and click New. You might know the icon for Sheets, which is this green grid or table right there. I'm just going to turn on my cursor so you can see where I am. Okay, there's a reason for this picture. I'll explain it in a minute. But the very first thing I want you to do when you open up your sheets is to change the title from untitled. I am hoping that your drives are not filled with untitled sheets and untitled slides and untitled documents. Whenever you open something to work on, give it a name. It'll make your life so much easier. You're going to call this Sheets Madness, and you are going to put your first initial and your last name, please. I'd also like you to share your work with me. So over on the share button, I believe you guys know how to do this already. You're going to type in K Smith at ledger.net and share with your teacher, Mr. Moffat, please. So jmoffat at ledger.net, and go ahead and hit send. I don't need to share this with myself, so I'm going to get out of there. Okay, so a little vocabulary first. And I used to get this confused all the time, which is why I put this graphic on my screen. I'm going to make this go away in just a minute. But columns and rows, it's really important to know the difference between the two in Google Sheets. So columns, in my head, because I used to get it mixed up all the time, I think of the columns back in the old Roman buildings. They go up and down. Columns are vertical. They are lettered, A, B, C, D, E, F, G. Those are your columns. Your rows are horizontal. They are numbered. The little rectangles are called cells. So just like in Battleship, you have your A2 is going to be this cell right here. C4 is going to be that cell right there. And that's going to be really important to know when we go about making formulas. The first thing we need is some data to manipulate. So your teacher is going to be handing you out a piece of paper with this data on it. So at this point, I'm going to ask, yes, that you pause the video and that you go about just typing in all of the information that is on the piece of paper in front of you. Or if you're using this screen, you can just duplicate it from this screen. Okay. So now that you have all of this inputted, we're going to start playing with the formatting a little bit. So the first thing is darn, I forgot that I wanted to title this. So I'm going to click on row 1. So you can see when I click on 1, the entire row turns blue. You can go ahead and follow along on your own devices so that you're familiar with how to do these things. And again, ask your teacher to pause the video, or if you're doing this on your own, pause it whenever you need to so you can go and do it on your own so that you can learn. So I select, excuse me, row 1, and then I say I want to insert. I want to insert a row above because darn, I forgot something. Now I'm going to type in Yukon 2016, if I could type, 2016, 2017 men's basketball stats. Okay. Oh man, it got cut off. All right, so there's a couple of ways to fix this. Because I kind of want this to be the title, I'm going to select cell 1A, and then there's two ways. I want to select all the cells from A1 to N1. Okay, so all the columns that have data straight across, I want to highlight just in row 1. So I'm either going to click on A1, so that has a blue outline now, and then oops, you have to make sure that A1 is darkened, and then slide your cursor to N1 and then release. So I can see by this darker blue line that it's all selected. Another way to do that is once your cell A1 is selected, you hit the shift button and then just drag it right across. So that selects it all. Then I want you to go to format. We want that to be right smack dab in the middle. So we're going to say merge cells, and we're going to merge them horizontally. So now you can see that it's going to go right straight across, but I want it centered now. So I'm going to come over to the horizontal alignment, and I'm going to tell it that I want it centered across all of those cells. Hopefully, yours now looks like this. Okay. Next thing I want to do is games played. Look at that. It's getting cut off. So click on your cell C, and then notice that when I put the cursor right between rows C and D, it becomes darker blue. Don't worry about that arrow yet. See how it turns darker blue? If you double click on that, it will automatically resize your cell so that the information will fit in it better. So let's see where else we can do that. We can come down to rebounds per game, and we could do that there as well. The other thing you can do is maybe you don't want really wide cells because you have so many, you want to keep them on the screen. You want this information. So let me go back. I'm going to come back over here. And once I see it's dark blue, I can play with however wide I want that cell. So try that. Click on an entire column and then grab the blue line with your mouse and then drag it. You can make it as big and as small as you want. Same thing with rows. You can make them as wide as you want. Or is that wide? As tall as you want. There you go. If you want two cells to be the exact same size, you would select both of them. So click on the C, and then you're going to hold the shift button down. So you have C and D now selected. And now when I drag them, both of those cells will change their width. So just take a few minutes and play with making cells and columns and rows wider and skinnier, taller, so that you're comfortable with that. Okay. The next thing I want to show you is if you have the cells and you don't want to make them wider, what you can tell Sheets to do is to wrap the text. And I tend to do this from this square right here, the one that's right above the 1 and to the left of the A. If you click in that box, it will select, and I know it's selected because it's all blue, every cell in my sheet. So whatever I do now is going to change every single cell. So I'm going to come to Format, and I'm going to say Text Wrapping. When it wraps, what it will do is it will automatically, you can see, make the cell, in this case, the row, is now taller so that all of the words can fit without having to make the cell wider. So look at your sheet now and notice how that's changed. Okay. See, if I was working with you at this point, I'd say, does anyone have any questions? Does that make sense? So if you have questions, if you're having trouble, save them for me. As I said, I'll be in soon to work with you. The next thing I want to point out is that you can align the information that is in your cells, the alignment for everything. So maybe these titles, I want to center. So I'm going to click number 2. That's going to select the entire row 2 so that now I can come up to my formatting tool that says, you know what? I want everything centered. Everything is now centered. If, while it's still selected, I decide I want to change the font a little, I would click on, maybe I want it in bold. Maybe I want to change the size of that font. Maybe, so notice as I'm doing these things, how it's changing on my sheet. Maybe I want to change this font altogether to, whoa, that's a little thick, to something else. Okay. So you can try that right now on your own sheets, selecting some cells, changing the formatting. Okay. Now what I'd like you to try to do is we're going to select everything from A2 all the way down to N10. When I do this, I usually grab the last cell. So I click there and then I drag my cursor all the way up to the first cell that I need. That's just the way I do it. I find it easier to go from the last cell to the first cell. So now I have a box around everything except for my UConn 2016-17 stats title up here. I want to put a border around these cells because the way they're appearing right now, you're not going to get a solid border, which means the lines, you can see them gray right here, but I can make them more prominent by clicking this borders button. Now, if you click the drop-down menu, you can see you have options. You can put borders just horizontally. You can put borders, I can turn that off now by re-clicking it. I can take my borders away. I can put a border just around the outside. Let me take that away. I can put borders just on the left-hand side of this, this data. Let me take that away. If I want borders everywhere, I don't have to go through and clicking all of these. I say I want all borders. And you can see now that there are dark lines where they were once just gray that really make this data stand out a little bit more and makes the columns more pronounced and rows, or the cells more pronounced. Thanks for bearing with me as I'm doing this lesson on here for the first time. So let's come back up to, let's see, column 1. I would like you to, and you can do whatever you want, I want you to change the UConn 2016-17 men's basketball stats. I want you to change that title to another font, whatever you choose. Let's make sure you know how to do that. Okay. You can also change the font color. So just like in your docs, your font is the A with the dark color underneath. UConn color is blue, I believe. So you can change that to blue. You can also change the fill color of the cell. So maybe I want to make it yellow in the background. Ooh, that's not a very bright yellow. Let's make it bright and cheery. There you go. You can change that information there as well. Okay, so that's our title. If you don't like that it goes off of all of those cells, then what I'm saying is See how it does the entire row A when really there's nothing over here? You can just select A1 to N1 and tell it just to do those cells. The other thing to remember, Control Z is your best friend. If you change something and you go, oh, shoot, I made a mistake. I didn't mean to do that. Control Z will undo whatever it is that you have done. Okay. You'll also notice, one last thing, sorry, down below here, your Google Sheet that you made actually can be multiple sheets. So this sheet is called Sheet 1 right now. Maybe I'm going to rename this sheet and I can say Yukon. Maybe I want to do all the men's basketball. I can rename Sheet 2 to be PC, the Friars. That's my team. Okay. You add a sheet by simply clicking the Add Sheet button. This is really helpful if you're doing something where you need to have information from months of the year or different students maybe down here if you're collecting data, and you can share the data between the sheets. We'll work on that more tomorrow. So coming back to our Yukon men's basketball stats, make sure you have this saved in a place on your drive where you will be able to find it when I come in, because all those empty columns that you see, those are ones that we are going to work on together. Okay. Thanks so much for bearing with me. This is the first time I've done a video like this to try to teach you. Sorry, I know there's a couple of little spots there. But please bring your questions with you tomorrow or the next time I see you. And good luck. Thanks. Bye.